Those who have been in the hobby for a little while would surely recognize the keyboard brand Geonworks and the man behind it all, Geon. And one word that Geonworks is frequently associated with is quality. I mean, how can they not be when they were a machining factory, a business deeply rooted in manufacturing precision components for giants like Hyundai and Hitachi? But being good at machining doesn't automatically make you a good keyboard brand. So I want to know exactly what made Geonworks synonymous with quality, what cracks and what secrets lie behind their flawless facade, and what cemented their reputation as one of the most respected names in the keyboard world today. Let me take you on a time-traveling adventure and start in the late 2000s.
2 decades ago, there were no vibrant communities like what we have today. Geek and Desk Authority were in their early beginnings, and the mechanical keyboards that were highly regarded by nerds back then were few. Cherry, IBM, Alps, and of course Top Ray. With people already gawking at a $300 price tag, any mention of custom keyboards were frowned upon.
There were group buys for custom keyboards of course, but they were few and far between, so the community was more focused on mods, tech support, and fixes. On the other side of the world, things were drastically different.
OTD, arguably the OG godfather of all custom keyboards, started out strong in the Korean community with their OTD 356 series of keyboards. Although the aforementioned brands like Alps and Topre still dominate the market, people appreciate design subtleties behind Korean customs, or customs for short. Things would more or less remain the same until 2020. When one guy by the name of Nathan, or otherwise popularly known as Teha, would usher in a wave of enthusiasts with his viral YouTube video. With over 9 million views to date and pushing his subscriber count way past 100,000, Teha's video served as a catalyst for many who did not know the existence of custom mechanical keyboards to get into the hobby. But what does all this have to do with Geonworks?
Well, can you guess what year was their first keyboard released in? Now, I'm not saying that there is a direct causation, but there has got to be some correlation. As the saying goes, a rising tide raises all ships, and attention would undoubtedly be drawn to the latest and the shiniest keyboard release. Now, enter the F18X. And then we get to this, the F18X722. And this is where the fun truly begins. Now, the 722 represents two things. Number one, it is the date at which the keyboard is designed, July 22nd. And it also represents one of Geon's favorite cars, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR 722. Internally, the 722 is essentially the same keyboard, the same plate, the same gasket mounting, and the same chamfers all around. The two biggest design changes are that number one, the top case now fully extends to cover the bottom, and number two, there's a clean protruding bar that serves to underscore the model variant. If the F18X is a keyboard that Geon made for others, this 722 is a keyboard that he made for himself, a passion project. It's on the opposite end of the spectrum. There's monikers all around the keyboard, as if to say that he too can create superfluous things. Acoustically, people say that the F18X sounded thin, simply because of all the cutouts in the plate. And the story is the same here. Any vibrations when typing simply gets attenuated. And I didn't help by using Alpacas switches in the keyboard to reflect a time when long pole switches were not popularized. Well, the cutouts combined with the leaf spring gasket mount makes for a very bouncy typing. Personally, I like the 722 more. It reveals more about Geon as a designer and what he wishes to accomplish in this hobby. Well, sales-wise, the 722 did really well. 900 units in Korea alone. I repeat, 900 units in Korea alone. But like all businesses, it wasn't always smooth sailing.
F2, the successor to the F1. It's in many ways different from its predecessor. It looks different for one. The USB-C port is now located in the middle instead of the side. And this Toblerone theme gives off a TGR vibe. Overall, a minimalistic look that exudes an elegant aura. However, I can't quite pinpoint it, but somehow the F284 feels soulless compared to the F1. Everything looks too perfect. Does that make sense? Anyway, in addition to gasket mounting, you can choose to build it plateless, which dramatically changes the typing feel and acoustics. Plus, unlike the F1 which was primarily sold in Korea, the F2 was released for international orders and a total of 600 units were sold, with a price tag of almost $600 is really impressive. But the problem came after buyers started receiving their keyboards. Plenty of quality issues started to surface. From anodization streaks in the top case, to machining defects in cases, misalignment of USB port due to heavy electroplating of the back weight, and rough hand polished stainless steel weights led to many chipped corners. Black Simon did a great piece detailing the ins and outs of this whole fiasco, so check it out if you are interested. Link is down below.
Needless to say, the Geonworks brand, which had a reputation of being a high-quality premium boutique studio, is in serious jeopardy. Hundreds of orders were affected, and people were publicly voicing out their dissatisfaction.
The situation was so emotionally charged that people were spewing hate on the Glare TKL group buy page, which was running at around the same time. Geon did not waste any time on damage control. Through it all, Geon maintained a high level of transparency, giving frequent updates and ultimately offered full refunds for affected units.
But what got them out of this mess and regained trust in the community goes beyond refunds and hotfix PR stunts. The amount of pressure would have caused others to fold, but not Geonworks. They survived because of one important reason.
Geonworks is all about putting the customer front and center. Simple, but not obvious to everyone.
You've got to understand there is a huge problem in our hobby. When someone sees an influencer reviewing or building a beautiful keyboard, there is a high chance that he or she wants to buy the exact same one, especially if it is a hyped brand or a viral video. So scalpers being scalpers, they would try to get several keyboards at one go, and then resell them almost immediately to earn a quick buck, which sucks for the majority of us because these group buys have a limited release, and scalpers take away people's chance at ownership. There are several ways that designers can respond. Number one, they can keep quiet and maintain status quo because this technically isn't their problem. So long as things get sold, it doesn't really matter to them who buys them. Number two, they can increase MOQ to take away the reason for scalping, since people who want one can already get one. The trade-off is that the designer has to bear the cost of having to process potentially hundreds or even thousands of orders at one go, which can be difficult for some small design studios who cannot even afford to hire more people to handle the orders. And why would you go the extra mile for something that technically doesn't affect sales?
Well, Geon not only increased MOQ, he made it unlimited. Good for us who buys his keyboards, but he made things more difficult for himself when he really didn't need to.
Now, I'm not saying that other brands and designers are purposefully making MOQ low. Some really don't have the capacity or the ability to handle thousands of orders. But when Geon sought to improve accessibility for their audience by making group buys unlimited, you know that he cares about the people that can't get what they want. Geonworks champions accessibility, and that resonated with the community. And if you truly care about your customers, it's easy to be humble, apologize, admit that you screwed up, and that you'll do better, which Geon has an incredible track record in. And most importantly, they managed funds properly. Can you imagine if Geon genuinely wanted to do refunds, but don't have the capital to back it up because he had spent it all on another project? Then, whatever good he intended to do amounts to nothing. One thing I have to say and admit is that Geon has a competitive advantage of being both a boutique design studio and a manufacturing house at the same time, manufacturing in-house designs. He can control costs better than a designer who has to rely entirely on an external manufacturer who sometimes exploit them. All that being said, perhaps Geon would turn to the dark side one day. But for now, thumbs up, keep up the good work. Alright, I'm done. See ya.